What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm continuing that series on the Grand Race routes, so let's get into it. Let's go. All right, real quick before we get into it, if you're looking for any of my Motorfest tunes, go to militiagamingco.com, click on Motorfest Pro Settings from the top, and there you will find my tunes. Let's get into it, man. The last video I thought was a little bit too long, so I'm going to try to cut it down and make it a little bit shorter. If you haven't seen this series before, this is where I'm breaking down each of the Grand Race routes. I've got this catalog here that I've made online. I've got all of these screenshots. Well, not all of them, but all of the ones that I've been able to collect. And then for some of these, you'll notice there's a red box around them. Those I have video clips for. I've got the cars that you're supposed to use for them, and those are the ones we're going to be talking about in today's video. So today we're going to look at the Ma'akua Black Beach Street Tier 2 Start. This one actually has two options. It'll be no modifier or special selection. But for today's video, we're going to look at route number 1 and then over here on route number 4. All right, taking a look at the route itself, you see it starts over here behind the rewards UI. This is on Ma'akua Black Beach over here. We go up through the canyon and then across this hill here, down into this sort of towards the city area, and then we go back up and around through the mountains. There's a very tight technical section here, and then it transitions here again when we get down all the way to this spot over here. The first part of this route is Street 2. I strongly recommend the F40. A lot of this stuff is real tight technical. It has a few gutter sections, and then down along this hill along the mountainside here, this is pretty curvy and you lose a lot of speed here, and I would recommend the F40. It's definitely the better car here. And then you get a little bit turny here before the switch into Rally Raid. And for Rally Raid, I strongly recommend the 959. This one goes across this field here and then up into the mountains, and it gets very, very tight and technical here. And then a bunch of like back-to-back hairpins on the backside of this mountain, which you can't really see, but I guarantee those are there. The other option, if you're not going to use the 959, is to use the BMW Z4. It does pretty well here as well. And then when we get out of that, we go down into the city and then transition into racing. And of course, for racing, you're looking at the T50. So you've got the F40, the 959, and the T50 as your cars. Let's get into the race itself. All right, so the first part of this race is kind of interesting. Now, if you have the front position, you don't have to actually make this cut. But if you get stuck here in the middle of the pack or towards the middle of the pack, I recommend cutting this right here. It just keeps you safe. Everybody's kind of clogged up over here on the left side, and this keeps you safe. It's not like the fastest way to take it, but it's definitely the way to go when it comes to being clogged up in the middle. Now we're just kind of surviving. We want to get to the front as soon as possible. Try your best to hit some of these gutters if you can. Obviously, traffic is going to dictate where your route is. Notice Simji actually cut across the grass there as well. So again, a safety tactic, definitely something that helps you skip a few positions, especially when people are not paying attention. So gutters here, really important. I got pushed out of mine. Another gutter turn here, important on this one. I missed it. That's all me. And then this one, not necessarily, but this you want to hit the gutter as well. And then we say bye-bye to Dorian. And the F40s are off. Now, he was in the Panamera, so he's obviously not going to be able to keep up with the F40, especially not on these straight sections. So as we come out of the tunnel, obviously try to control your speed a little bit and hit that gutter. Notice I was able to close a little bit of distance with Simji on that one. Then we head down the hill. Now with the slipstream, this is a very, very fast section. If you're alone, you want to keep your NOS near the top of the bottle. Once you get into 5th gear, you can blast a little bit to get up to towards top speed, but not all the way there, and then let it recover and start tapping. You don't want to be in this section with no NOS. This section really kills your speed. There's a ton of these little curves, and every time you turn, you lose a little bit of traction like that, and then you lose a little bit of speed. So make sure you're controlling your NOS. You want to have that NOS tank as close to full as possible with small taps. Now, there's nothing really that tricky coming down this hill, so we'll fast forward. At the bottom of this hill, this is a gutter turn here in Street 2. You at least have to get in it a little bit. This one, if taken correctly, doesn't have to be, but you can definitely do it to make sure you can take it at full speed. Then you're going to want to control your speed here, which I didn't. I lost it outside into the dirt. Before you hit that turn, it's good to downshift into 4th, especially with the F40. I didn't take my own advice. All right, let's keep moving. Now, it's important to keep a wide angle here. You have to set yourself up for this turn. This turn is not super difficult, but if you stay wide here near this this guardrail here, and then turn in to the apex. Try to get as close to the dirt without touching it as possible. Then your car makes this turn very easily. And you can go straight across and continue to turn a little bit to the left, because after that little jump, a lot of times you'll end up in the grass over there. There's another tricky turn coming up over here at 31%. This one's a gutter turn. I actually hit it okay, pretty nicely there. And then for this transition, it's important to position yourself to the left. So as soon as the car starts to transition, start turning to the left. You want to go left of this, or on the right side of this big tree, but try to hug close to it, because if not, you're not going to make this transition. You can kind of extend it out this way, go through the right side of this this checkpoint here, straight ahead. And this route is a little bit tricky. It always threw me for a loop. So anyways, cut to the left here. You try to get close to this guy. And then I want to stay more left right here. That was actually pretty decent. Sort of follow this little path along here. You notice Simji is taking sort of a wider angle here. There's no need to cut this corner because you get into some bushes here that I hit and slowed me down. There's another one there. So you kind of have to stay wider. Simji did it obviously a lot better there. Little NOS taps over this jump here. And then this is an important corner. It's very easy to fall off this ledge. The corner tightens up quite a bit, so make sure you downshift and drift into that corner, obviously avoiding the mountain. Now for this one, you kind of want to just avoid these big bushes. See these big bushes on the right and the left? Avoid the big ones. You can go through everything else. Rally ready cars don't have that off-road slowdown when you're off the dirt road, so don't feel like you have to stay on the road for this part. You can cut these corners and you're not going to lose a lot of speed, but just make sure you don't hit these big bushes. The big ones will slow you down. So all this like tall grass, all this stuff, not a big deal at all. Trees and big bushes are a problem. Hug this corner tight and then angle yourself to the right and NOS in the air. Nicely done. Missed all the trees, kept up a lot of speed. Simji is really, really good, I mean, in general, but in this particular section, he keeps a lot of speed through here. Anyways, same thing here. You're going to drift this corner and head down into the first of a series of hairpin turns. Now it is a little bit faster to go ahead and use the walls, so I would say just go full throttle into the walls, do a little drift so you're not hitting the front of the car, and use a little bit of NOS coming out of it. There's a couple of corners that are pretty wide open. It's not this one. You've got another tight one here. But this next corner is sort of a 90-degree corner. It's not a hairpin, so just cut this corner tight. I did it pretty poorly. You can actually just drive that corner. You don't have to drift it that much. You can drift a little bit, but go through the corner and end up over here because you want to take this corner tight as well. So if you had a wider angle, then you can cut this even more and keep a lot of speed through those two corners, because they're not actual hairpins. They're just, you know, right-handers basically. When you get to the jump, you're going to jump over this one. And of course, slam into the wall and keep on going. All right, let's fast forward this. Just a couple more hairpins, basically the same thing here. You're going to want to empty your NOS into this transition. Of course, we're heading into racing. I don't think there's a lot of tricky spots on this racing one. I'm going to fast forward to the ones that I know of. Let's see. All right, so basically up until this point, which is 83%, there really isn't a whole lot of tips I can give you other than NOS management. NOS management is very, very important here. You don't want to use all of your NOS in like 4th, 5th gear to try to get up to speed. Little taps through all the way through 5th. And when you get into 6th, you can dump about a quarter of the tank at a time. So a quarter of the tank, let the car recover a little bit. Quarter of a tank, let the car recover a little bit. And that way you're basically going to be at top speed most of the time that you're driving it. Now, this corner here at 83% is a little bit tricky. You do have to slow down, but you can actually take this way faster than you know. If you stay to the right of the road and then cut it back and just barely tap the gutter. I'm doing it in 5th gear, fairly fast. Didn't even hit the gutter. And here's the thing. In racing, this is me analyzing my own runs. In racing, you don't really want to cut this corner because you can hold a lot more speed if you hit the gutter. Now, if you're not great at guttering, then I suggest go ahead and cutting the corner. But it also depends on situationally what's around you. If there's someone in front or behind you, you know, you need to react to everyone around you. But basically, if you're good at guttering and you feel like you can hit that gutter, go for it. It's going to be faster for racing because you're going to have more exit speed. If you feel like you can't do that, then I would say go ahead and cut this corner right after this bridge like I did. Now, the key to cutting this corner is being in 4th gear or 5th, doesn't matter, having the throttle pinned all the way down and steering lightly. You cannot make really aggressive steering movements. Once you get out of the grass, then you can switch to 3rd gear and start accelerating again. But to control that car so it doesn't spin, be in a higher gear. Also, keep the throttle pinned. Gutter turn here. And then you're pretty much at the end. There is one other difficult corner. Let's see. This one here, I recommend not cutting this in racing. There's no need to. You can keep a lot of speed just by going on the road. And that's basically this one. So let's move on to course number 2 on Maakua Black Beach. All right, here we go. This is the second course for the video. We've got Street Tier 2 Rally Raid Racing. Same setup, same start, which is right over here on Maakua Black Beach. And basically, you're going the opposite direction. So last time we went through the mountains. This time, we're going kind of along the coast just for a little bit. Then we go back up into the mountains. So anyway, for this first Street 2 section, you guessed it, it's going to be the F40. It's pretty technical, pretty tight, and that's what you want to use. For the second section, I recommend the Tacoma. Once you get up this hill and start descending down sort of in the bottom part of this mountain here, all of this stuff here is going to be really, really fast. You want to use the Tacoma there. It's a significant advantage there on those fast, like sort of straight hill bombing sections. Then once we transition into racing, this is basically the main highway that runs through the Oahu map. So you definitely want to have the Gallardo Super Trofeo. So you have F40, Tacoma, and Gallardo Super Trofeo. All right, let's get into the race. All right, nothing tricky here at the start. You're basically just jockeying for position in these corners. I recommend staying very, very inside. As you see, Simji came flying in from the left. He wanted to make sure he was on the inside here for this corner. If you're on the inside, you don't get pushed out. You want to stay inside, possibly in the gutter, maybe in a situation where you're in the grass a little bit, but inside is where you want to be. Position your car there. It's always safer there. You might get pushed into that wall a little bit, but you just really got to try to get on the inside. Notice I'm really trying hard to make sure I'm inside for these corners. Again, across the grass a little. I get slowed down, not too big of a deal, but it definitely is slowing me down quite a bit. Simji was able to get through very quickly, very easily. Anyways, let's move on to some other parts that are a little more tricky. This is basically just dodging people. I had a pretty rough race here. All right, this corner always throws people off. This one here through the trees. It's important to grab a little bit of the gutter and slow down. You can't hit this full speed basically in any class. So as you can see, I'm already pushing because I want to get to that gutter, and this guy is definitely in the way. So I end up getting it, and I'm able to make the pass on him and a couple of others. But basically, you want to force your way into that gutter. You got to get there. This left-hander, it's pretty nice to stay really tight towards the grass here and try to hit this gutter if you can. If you can't, it's okay, but try to hit that gutter. You'll be able to take that with a little more speed. And just like that, we're in the in the running for top 5-ish. This right-hander is a gutter turn as well. Make sure you're in it. You're gonna definitely get some speed on your opponents here. I passed basically all of the top four to get myself in second place here at the transition. Notice on this transition, I'm on the right side of the road and I'm drifting into the transition. So I throw the car into it. I didn't do it very well. I said I was drifting, but I didn't actually drift in this one. I should have drifted. That's what I should have said. You should be drifting going into this transition because you want your truck to be pointed up the hill when you get it. You don't want it to spawn you into the wall. You're gonna lose a lot of speed. Anyways, I didn't pay too much of a price because I spawned in with decent speed, and now we're on our way up the hill. So I'm basically just trying to catch up to Simji. I don't think it ever happens in this race, but anyways, this next turn I made a mistake here. I went a little bit too wide and I opened the door for that right there. Two BMWs pushed their way through and almost pushed me into the wall. And it happens. On this descent, there's really nothing tricky. You just want to try your best to avoid these trees. And I got contacted by this ant person who pushed me into the trees. This stuff happens. This is an important one. You'll put some distance between you and some other people. If you're in the Tacoma and you hit this jump, you can use a lot of NOS in the air. I went from 150 to 185 in the air. and now I'm at full speed in slip, and the guy behind me really doesn't stand a chance to keep up because the BMW doesn't have the top speed of the Tacoma. Anyways, if there was another Tacoma here, we would be walking away from these BMWs. Now on this section, I got thrown off the hill, but I took it the way I wanted to. This guy hit something. We go back. This guy, Josh, hit something on the mountain, which forced his car to the right, and then it pushed both of us off the hill. So it's just something you can't really plan for. So as we go around this left-hander, he went too tight, hit the rock, it pushed him to the right, he lost a little traction, and then we're both off. So that ended up being a reset. Not real fun, but it is what it is. We're still fighting back. Now on this one, I chose to go around and use my NOS on the second jump. And very unfortunate that Vanilla Mike lost control in the air. And of course, I run into him, losing all of my momentum. If I hadn't, I would have been up there with the other guys. So I'm still in a fight. Cut to the left on that checkpoint, then to the right on this checkpoint, and then you can go through the trees here. There's a little gap right here. And then we go into sort of a couple of checkpoints, then a right-hander. I stay tight to this side, and then I drift usually on this one to go through this checkpoint and try to get around and get to this checkpoint as soon as possible. Usually I try to get traction as fast as possible on that one. And here we are going into racing. Obviously use all your NOS into the transition. Now we're in a Gallardo Super Trofeo, and I believe in this case I noticed that someone behind me is also in one, which is good news for me. It means that we'll be able to catch number 2. Yeah, so this person behind me is actually in one as well. So with Slipstream, and obviously he doesn't have Slipstream at all, second place, so we should be fine to catch second and third. Neither one of them are together. So this whole section is all about Slipstream. I'm just going to fast forward to some of the spots that make sense. So here we go. We're passing. Nothing tricky here. Nothing tricky here. This is that same corner that I talked about on the last route. You want to stay wide, then cut in. Now, in this case, your visual cue, I'll teach you guys something going across this. These little curbs here, once you get into this like brick sidewalk area, they don't really affect the car too much. So what you're looking for is this. You want to enter on the brick here. And then as soon as you see these trees, you can kind of cut it back right, because you're not going to take too much slowdown across this grass, and you're going to make a hard left anyway, so you can kind of slow down a little bit. See how I kind of cut that a little? The visual cue is the trees. So see the trees, just stay away from them. The trees are what slow you down, not the grass. This turn on the left, and then I blast the NOS to try to catch Dorian, and it worked. I actually got into his slipstream, which is nice. And I go to pass him on the right side, just, you know, slowly, and he's a rammer. So anyways, that was kind of the end of my race. He ended it there, wasn't able to catch up, had no slipstream, and the rest of the race is just slipstreaming. And then we get to the final corner here. My advice in racing is to look for this. Oh, I did it too fast. Hold on. You're basically looking for this second brown telephone pole or light pole. You want to stay to the right of that. Either basically to the right or to the left of it, but like really close to that one. That's your visual cue to make the turn in. And then when you get across and safe, go ahead and blast your NOS to get to the finish, and you're good to go. Anyway, so aside from having a lot of ramming and a lot of problems in this race, you basically get the idea of where we're going. Hopefully this video series is going to help you guys out and help you guys get a little faster at grand races. Even guys like me who tend to win a fair number of races and do okay. I'm not the best, but I do pretty well. Have a hard race like this where, you know, I'm just getting pushed around constantly. I'm having trouble getting through the mid pack. It's very common. So it happens. You just kind of have to roll with the punches and hope that you can get through it, you know, as safely as possible. So, all right, hopefully this has helped. And if you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram or Discord. I read every single message that comes my way. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.